30% capacity. Wow, that's a heck of an echo.
Sorry, guys.
I don't even like to hear myself talk to begin with.
Gone?
Nope.
Still there.
The echo? You're echoing?
Stop hitting me.
You got an echo?
Stop hitting me. It's
Go
weird.
into the light, Caroline. Now it's gone?
Hello.
Yeah, that's
Testing.
good. That's
Good.
The stream's like froze down the...
The streams. So as I was
Are we
mentioning,
crossing streams?
tomorrow gym's open. 33% capacity. I just don't want to be the fraction when they open up, when they do the little math. If you're in there like, oh, wait a minute, we only allowed 33%. Stick out your arm. Stick out your leg. Okay, now we're 33%. We couldn't make that number 40%. We couldn't make the number 30%. We had to pick 33%. That's the power of statistics.
Well, I think the viewers at home can see on camera that I don't go to the gym.
What do you mean? Look at me. I spent all day driving around the parking lot. Peter, thoughts on the gym?
I'm very impressed.
We can't hear you. You got to have it on so you can
I'm
have
very
the mic.
impressed with the ear condoms that are on the microphones. It's cool. It looks like the War of the Worlds thing.
It's for your protection. Okay, I can see this show is off to a great start.
Since you're talking about gyms, let me give you a quick story why I will never go into a gym.
Well, let's hear it.
It's Columbus School. It's 5th grade. 5th grade. You've all heard of kickball?
No.
Kickball? No.
Used to play
I was
dodgeball.
terrible at kickball.
Kickball was this gigantic, big red rubber ball about this big. And it comes rolling at you at like 4 miles per hour. So it's my turn, and it's rolling at me, and it's rolling at me. I'm all brave, and I come running up to go kick it, and I missed. And somehow I kicked myself in the head. Now, I don't mean like the shoe flew off. I mean, I physically kicked myself in the head with my foot. Missing a 3-foot ball, I kicked myself in the head.
I thought he was going to tell us he crapped his pants.
It would have been less embarrassing.
I'm not really sure about that. I mean, crapping your pants is pretty much about the
That's a
most
skill in
embarrassing
itself,
you can do.
though. There's no way my foot can reach my head, even if I tried.
That's a lot of athleticism right there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of energy. That's when the gym teacher also told me that I disgraced the sport for the rest of eternity, and I thought that was a hell of a thing to lay on my family. I mean, like, the Leonards have ruined dodge. No, not even dodgeball.
Kickball.
Kickball.
I didn't even know kickball was a sport. I thought it was a game that was played at
All right.
family reunions.
All right. Can I reach over in the rich?
Your arm's missing, so you qualify to go to the gym.
Is your arm 6 feet?
I'm glad you all had the option of what you call dodgeball with balls. What the hell ever reason in East Rome we played with frisbees? They called it ultimate dodgeball. You know, being the smallest one in the gym class, it was like a friggin' firing squad. The minute they blew the whistle, I had like 15 of them hit me all at once. The head, the teeth, the face. I'm trying to walk away. And
You should have did that your Chuck Norris move with the leg up in the air. You kicked them all out of their, you know.
And that's why I will never go in a gym. I'm not going to show off this big muscular physique. I mean, I know all women love this. It is, but...
Well, I would love to walk into Planet Fitness behind you and just see if a frisbee comes out of nowhere.
I would love to see him in Planet Fitness.
I don't think I'm allowed in Planet Fitness because when Candy and I had a membership, I fell off that
Elliptical?
elliptical thing. Like I'm not coordinated enough to.
Elliptical.
You want to go later? You got a membership? I'll show you how to do it.
No, we can't.
It
until
hurts.
tomorrow.
I heard you weren't allowed, though.
Do you have to bring food in there?
No, you have to wear a mask. Social distance.
I'll stay home and eat a peanut butter sandwich.
All right, so we're here to talk about the paranormal, right?
Yeah, let's talk
This
about
is a
ghosts
show
or
about the
something.
paranormal, right? Pete's good for warming up the crowd. He used to open up for popular comedians such as
There you go.
Pauly Shore, Milton Berle, and of course Mel Brooks, Rodney Dangerfield,
I keep getting caught over here.
and the chords are kind of long. So
Weird Al Crankovich, what's his name?
Yankovic.
Yankovic. Living in an Amish paradise. I used to blow that going up and down the streets here back in the day. Okay. Living in an Amish. No.
Okay, so it's really hard, by the way, to focus.
I haven't
when
been
Pete's in the
around
studio.
I haven't been around real people. I'm sorry.
I know.
That's
I know.
a good point. Neither have I.
Yeah, I don't know what's
To
going
be fair, I don't think we all qualify as real people here.
Well,
I'm pretty much just a blow-up doll.
I can touch you, right?
Out of all the things you
Brain.
could have compared yourself to.
I'm a blow-up doll with a brain.
I mean, for me, it's not a big deal. The gyms can only open 30%, capacity. 'Cause
33.
My brain only works on 30% capacity.
Okay.
So.
33. Let's get the numbers right. Statistics, folks. Statistics. So
I just did something. I don't know what I did. I'm not a fungal.
he does that to me every time I get a train of thought. I'm right. So I said, I can't order pizza this way. Something's not working. So, when we lecture together and travel around, Pete is truly the entertainment. I'll start that path of like serious paranormal stuff. This is stuff that could save your life. And then Pete tells a story about swallowing the bat. And then everyone loses it. And then I'm just kind of like just the act that has to now follow. And it's tough to do. It really is.
I'm sorry. I know I make you cringe sometimes. Kids will ask a question, but I'll show you stuff that'll turn your green.
He did say that once. I'm like, are we allowed to say that? This is a Catholic Jesuit institution. Well, I guess so. I'm sure the kids are saying worse than what we are.
Truth.
But again, the kids weren't giving us the check.
I'm going to miss
The administration was giving us the check. So we want to make sure that they're happy. So remember that moving forward. However, I don't know what's going on in the virtual world. However, let's talk about something real quick that I started to notice on Facebook. There's so much stuff going on in the paranormal prior to the COVID that so much stuff went on hiatus. It's like, shut it down for a while. You know what I mean? Because obviously you can't go around town investigating places with large crowds, and people don't want you in their properties, and whatever state it's in, pretty much it's the same premise. Let's basically work together to get rid of the COVID, and let's avoid each other. So film crews and everything are probably on hiatus or back trying to figure out what to do. So paranormal investigators have been moving forward in doing virtual events. I don't know, have you guys heard this now? Mm-hmm. They're doing
Just
virtual
briefly,
events.
yeah.
So let's say you're going to go to Eastern State Penitentiary. You take a crew, as long as it's under a certain number, and you charge people basically a price, and then you stream the investigation. And I'm sure they can interact through a chat mechanism or something and do it for you. And these things are, I'm sure they're 40, 50, 60 bucks, whatever. But that's the new way to investigate. I prefer to be like in the investigation versus watching it online, quite honestly. But kudos for them to trying to do things creative and keep the paranormal thing going, because it's like anything. If you stop for a period of time, then you go back and it's like you look at your gear and I'm like, I'm not even sure I remember how to operate that Ovilus. What are batteries? I mean, you do. You walk away from it for a while and you kind of just lose a little bit of that edge. So kudos to them that are out there trying to do what they need to do by doing the streaming thing. So that's something that we could actually think about doing, like, doing something for an organization that wants to raise money. Because obviously when we do our live events, the donations from the money we raise goes to that association or to that property to help pay for renovation. So that's a great thing to be able to do that, to write out a check to these groups and say, here, thank you for letting us, use your property. And in turn, here's money that could basically heat the property for the winter or put in some new windows or whatever. I mean, one time we did an event years ago, I think we raised over $3,500 for that. And that was for the Rucker Mansion. That was really nice. That was probably one of the biggest fundraisers they've ever done inside of their mansion to this day. And they've had some really good ones. So
Yeah, there's a lot of groups out there that yeah, they investigate the paranormal, but they don't really do as much as like what our group does.
Right.
I'm really happy for our group. Our group is very active in our community, and that's what I like about it. It's, yes, we get to go on these great investigations. We get to help people. You know, just like our group is always the. You know, if you have a home that is possibly haunted, you give us a call or anything. We're there for you. There's no charge whatsoever. There are some groups out there that charge. We don't believe in that. I mean, this is not an exact science, so we can't really say, hey, you know, your house is haunted. $2,000, please. But on the other flip side of that is we can use what we know on not only the paranormal aspect, but also historical aspect to really push that for different areas, different places, and do charity functions. And you know, to be part of that is just an amazing feeling, just being part of this group. And I'm damn proud of this group.
Community. It's really, for us as a group, it's about the community. This is a community that we live in. This is where we grew up, you know, and we like to give back, you know. So Kevin touched on a couple interesting points, which I'm going to elaborate on a little bit on, and I'm hoping that Pete and Stephanie can. Oh, by the way, let's before we do that, let's introduce Stephanie to our viewers. Stephanie's new to our group, so let's ask Stephanie some questions. Why not?
Great.
Right? Because we really, you know, we only met her on, you know, virtually through a Zoom call.
I know it's the first time in person, but I guess that's the world we live in now.
Do you believe in ghosts, spirits, demons, the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and the theory of Atlantis?
All of it. Yep.
Well, then you're going to fit right in.
Maybe not fairies, though. I don't know how I feel about fairies.
I don't know. We got to rethink this whole thing. I don't believe in fairies.
I was thinking about that today. I was watching a show, and it was someone caught fairies on their cell phone. I think it was doctored. It looked a little too much like a fairy, but I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think I believe in fairies. So all you fairies out there, please don't come after me if you are real. But
yeah, Peter Pan always said every time you say you don't believe in fairies, a fairy somewhere drops down dead.
oh my
So,
God,
great
that's
job.
true. I'm killing
You just killed a
fairies.
fairy.
Yeah, you're murdering fairies everywhere.
It's a
What
great
is
first
wrong
start
with
to
you?
this episode.
Meanwhile, Pete's, I think he's ordering pizza or something.
Probably.
But what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
Oh, look at me.
It's an
We were
initiation
supposed to be
question.
asking you questions, so that was Pete's question.
Oh, God. I plead the fifth.
Oh no, Monty Python and the Holy Grail? 20 knots. I looked it up. It's a real thing, and it doesn't matter if it's African or European.
20 knots. However, there is a code word that you have to take with you. So
Okay.
that if something were to happen to you, God forbid, that we as paranormal investigators, our team, will try to contact you, and just to make sure you're okay and that you've crossed over. So the word is pineapple.
Why pineapple?
I don't know. Pete picked it.
That makes sense.
He was. I think he was thinking about a. What are you doing?
I've seen how far I had to reach. But
He was probably ordering a pineapple bacon pizza from Little Caesars or someplace, and pineapple came. So
I wish.
pineapple. Remember that, because someday if something happens to you, we try to reach out to you. We're going to ask you, what is the secret
That's
word?
epic. I'm probably going to forget.
If you say pineapple, we know it's you.
Okay.
Okay.
So to put that into a real-world context, we were doing an investigation in Auburn where they had that human skin doll thing from Africa there, and we were running a spirit box session. And we're like, does anyone want to talk to us? And it said pineapple. And we're like, okay.
Do you know who it was? It's your code word.
Meaning somebody knew something about us on the other side.
Yeah.
Somebody was listening in, eavesdropping, and they picked up on our code word.
So I know we've touched on this many times. Kevin said we don't charge, but it's going to it'll be almost impossible, right, Rich, for anybody to ever live up to the buffet of food they put out in Auburn there at that time.
Right.
No, Moravia. Moravia?
Right. No. Not
Where was
Moravia.
it?
Homer.
Homer. Oh my God, the bread, the cold cuts, desserts.
So Kevin touched upon the fact that we don't charge for our services, and that's totally important because, you know, being a paranormal investigator, we're there to help you solve a problem. and we don't even know what the solution is or what the problem is. So as investigators, we come in and try to find what is going on, try to rule out environmental things that are common, such as high EMF, everything, drug abuse, mental illness. However, though we are not mental illness consultants or therapists or anything,
we don't look through your underwear drawer either.
If you got a bottle of anti-anxiety medication, like multiple bottles, we're going to basically, okay. Again, we don't judge. However, it could be a source of what's going on. So we don't charge. We would never charge. I know there are groups out there that do charge. The only thing that we would ever take from someone, and that's for an event. If there's a person is putting on a paranormal event and they say, we would like you to be there to help us sell tickets, help us raise money, and they're taking care of anything, the only thing I've asked for them in the past is, if you're having food, please let our team eat. And that's an automatic yes. No one. I'd be very surprised if someone said no.
Mm-hmm. They don't bring me along at first.
Well, can we see the size and the weights of everybody? We need Pete on that.
Oh my God!
Then we bring Pete in. It's like, no event. Everyone gets a refund. And then the other thing is batteries. We bring in all of our gear, so we give them like a little list. Here, supply us with batteries. Don't give them to them. Just have them available because you may use them for something else. Because we're basically taking time out of our schedules, using our gas, doing this event for you, and just sometimes give some batteries because we're going to be giving people equipment, letting them use our stuff, and have a whole experience. So that's the only thing we've ever, actually done. So, and one organization just asked me to buy the batteries because they didn't have the time to go to the store. So I went to Dollar General and bought the cheapest batteries possible just because we would use them and just toss them out. And we'd let our equipment out to everybody. Other than that, that's for an event. But for private investigations, if you want to put food out and stuff like that, we're not going to say no. But, at the same time, we don't charge you for anything. So, and Pete's doing something weird again. So, what are you doing, Pete?
Pete, you're bad with technology. Just leave it alone. Pete's worried that we're not live anymore, but I can show you that we're live.
Well, mine says error. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Pete's not our tech guy, by the way.
I'm just going to shut you down.
He's our historian. So he's good at old stuff like wood, books, maps.
Hello,
Whenever there's a
lady.
computer involved or a phone or anything, Pete kind of takes a back seat because, if you actually could, I should have recorded some of our Zoom calls. Pete's like sideways, or he's laying in bed, and the thing's up here on top of his hairline there, and we're all having a conversation about some useful stuff. And
I guess I should apologize to the haunting in Connecticut lady when I was eating the 4 sandwiches sideways with my hand behind the head.
The only time I ever see you, Pete, is on a Zoom call when you're in bed. Every time you're in bed, do you go up there like after dinner? And pretty much that's it? Because you said you can't handle the heat, so your air conditioners are up there. So
We have central air, and I have an extra air conditioner and a fan in the bedroom. You don't want to know about. I've already sweat through my pants here. This is ridiculous. I'm going to have to walk out sideways. I'm sort of embarrassed, but Todd's probably in the back. Like, you better not.
Better not. Don't ruin my network. Don't you ruin my show.
He's going to come out with the mop, and I'm going to have to clean everything.
Let's circle back to community. So,
don't judge us by me.
So Agent Paranormal has been in the community for a number of years. Only the last couple of years as Agent Paranormal, but most of us have been in multiple organizations. Kevin started his own group, Adirondack Paranormal.
Yeah, Adirondack.
What did I say?
I don't know what that word was,
Adirondack.
but it was an Adirondack.
Adirondack Paranormal. Don't pick on me because of my my slang. Accent. It was Adirondack
Up in New York slang.
Paranormal.
Apes.
Yep. Yeah, I started that back in 2005. It was myself and 2 of my friends. That's an interesting story. I took the back road into the paranormal that nobody should ever take, and everybody watching, do not do this. I actually was trespassing, going into places where I shouldn't have, and where I got caught was actually at the Oriskany battlefield. We were out in the field investigating. There was about 4 or 5 of us, and as we're out in the field, we just saw this bright light just flash right through the field, through the woods and everything. And we're like, okay, well, I wonder what the heck that was. So, we're like ducking down and looking in the woods and saying, maybe it's an orb. I don't know. I just saw the flashlight. Well, it comes back again. Everybody starts freaking out. Everybody but me, because I looked over and I saw a trooper with his spotlight shining on in the woods. I'm like, great. Yeah, we're done. And they're like, no, just duck down and hide. There's no ducking down and hide, because my truck was parked on the side of the road because I drove everybody there, and the trooper comes right up behind my truck, turned the lights on, and that was it. Like, I was like, we got to go. We got to go and kind of fess up to it, because if not, he's going to call in the plates, call my parents, and, that's not going to be a happy time. So
you're a criminal. I didn't know we let criminals into our group.
Yeah, I'm a criminal. Yeah. Badass. But
See,
whatever.
But the chicks were digging you after that. I don't even know. My name's Kevin. I don't know if you know this, but I trespass on the risk in New Battlefield.
So, anyways, I'm walking out the field. The trooper's out of his car already, looking in the back seat of my truck. Got his flashlight out, and I just yell out, "Excuse me!" And he just kind of looks like this and turns back and looks at me. And I mean, he must have shit his pants, because he backed up against my truck to see a figure just walking out of the middle of the haunted battlefield in the middle of the night. And he was just really stunned. And then I had 4 friends walking out behind me slowly. And then he just, okay. So he lined us all up behind the truck, took all of our licenses, all that stuff. And he was real nice about it. He only gave me the ticket for trespassing on government property, and said everybody else can help you pay for it. Okay, well, I hope that works out. And what ended up happening was I wrote a letter to the judge stating that I had actually spent about 15 to 20 minutes talking to that trooper. And in talking to him, I got all the information I needed of actually getting a permit to go to the Oriskany battlefield and actually investigate legally. He gave me all that information. He handed me the information, he handed me the ticket, and we were on our way. So I sent a letter to the judge telling him that, I plead guilty to everything that had happened. And as of November 13th, it was about 2 weeks after that had happened, is actually when we decided to found Adirondack Paranormal Society, actually become an organization. And about a week after that, and just before I actually sent out the letter, I had already gotten permission and a permit to actually go and investigate at the battlefield. And I actually wrote in the permit the permit application that I had just gotten a ticket for trespassing there. But they were happy for it. And the reason they were happy for it is because the battlefield used to use, the Rangers would come there. They'd volunteer their time. You could only be there for a couple hours. They didn't want to be past midnight. And they don't do this anymore. But they used to actually take paranormal evidence and try and correlate it on where it was found, to try and correlate where action might have actually happened. Because they don't really know where the path is. And actually, I think Pete was saying that the battle actually took place farther in the woods. So they're still trying to use that evidence to find out where about it actually is. Huh. So, yeah, that was my backstory. And, it's not a great one, but...
You're a badass.
I mean, I think it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
Almost got arrested.
Arrested, cars exploding, shots fired. Yeah. Well, that's the story I'm going to tell.
Right.
Pretty much that was
Pew,
it.
pew, pew.
So then Kevin joined Rome Investigators of the Paranormal, and that's where we met him. And then we left, all of us, and formed Agent Paranormal. Agent Paranormal was kind of in the works before then, kind of more as just like an idea to explore the metaphysical side of things, because Rome Investigators Paranormal was very centered on the scientific way, and we wanted to expand a little bit more and go more into the metaphysical end of things.
We wanted to keep the science in it, but we wanted to introduce metaphysical as well, because if you can get those things to line up, that's all you need.
But we're investigators, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to investigate. And the thing was that, it's kind of like, we had people in the group that would go to church and sit there and pray to God, the Our Father, this and that. But when it came to the paranormal, they're like, we have no scientific proof it exists. You're in church praying to a deity and all this other stuff, and then you basically don't believe in anything in the metaphysical, but you believe there's a gentleman who's got giant hands that is going to let you into the pearly gates of heaven. But when we present evidence, well, that's not proof. Well, what proof do you have of God or the Holy Spirit? I mean, I'm Catholic, so I'm not judging that part. I mean, but the thing is, like, you can't have that mindset. You have to basically be open to understand that there are levels that people have. I mean, there's no reason in the past to explore this kind of stuff. There really was no reason to. But now that they're making so many advances in science now, in like quantum physics and all this kind of stuff, and they're starting to get deeper into this whole like microverse or whatever you want to call it. That's comic book language for all you nerds out there like me. But they're starting to find things that they didn't even know existed. Didn't even make sense then. So why can't the metaphysical kind of run along with that? It didn't make sense back then, but it does sort of. I mean, we've seen it. That's the thing. We've seen it, and we've had some great examples of how correlated. Then we've seen some really poor examples. I mean, with anything, it's like, you have to eliminate out the, the psychics that do the, what's the method they call it? The
Cold reading.
Cold readings, and, they have the magic elixirs. I mean, once you get past all that hokiness, there are really people that have some gifts. They're just more in tune, you know what I mean, to what's going on. So as investigators, we have to explore that. And if it isn't real, then we move on. And we explore something else, Because when we go into a location, the first thing we look for is not paranormal. Kevin, when you go into investigations, the first thing is, got to find a ghost. No, you go and basically find out, okay, what could be here that's not paranormal that's going to cause all these problems before I even flip that paranormal card in the deck to see, okay, obviously, this isn't here, this isn't here, this isn't here. And then you still don't dismiss it if you can't find it. You still kind of, when you investigate with someone, you're in their house, you're investigating with them, and they're participating in that. You're still kind of watching them a little bit, seeing how they react to things, their body language. You're just trying to see, because there are times when people have sort of manifested a hoax, basically because they just thought, let's have some ghost hunting people come in the house. This would be kind of cool. And then there's some people that actually are manifesting things with their mind that's legit. It's happening to them. We're not witnessing it, but they swear up and down that it's happening to them. So there's so many different like tangents of how this goes. So being a community organization, when somebody reaches out, and I'm talking to you, the Utica Rome, Oneida County, Herkimer County community, if you have a paranormal problem, don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Don't think you're losing your mind. Reach out to us. We'll talk to you. We don't judge you. Let us help you understand. Sometimes I've watched some conversations that Kevin's had with some people on Facebook, and he's come up with some logical reasons to why certain things are going on. And they're, oh, thank you. I mean, I've heard from him again.
Yep.
So I'm kind of assuming they probably found a solution to what's going on. And then I've had cases where people reached out to us, like the wife, for instance, and basically, please help, please help. Then the husband, I don't want him in the house. This is going to happen, that's going to happen. And so it just gets diffused and doesn't go on, And it's typically that way. It typically isn't the husband saying, oh, my God, please come. Though we did one investigation, it was not even the area. We went outside of the area to this bar restaurant where the wife was cool with everything. She knew there's stuff going on. But the husband was freaking out. I'm not staying there anymore till they come in and tell me what the hell's going on. So, yeah. So sometimes it's the opposite. But typically it's the wife that wants us to come in, and the husband I'm the man of the house. I'll take care of that ghost. Okay.
Those chicken wings were really good.
Yeah, they were good chickens.
Really good.
Yeah, if you're wondering why we look the way we do, we get some good food.
Well, then we should all be super skinny and buff because we haven't done a lot of investigations with the whole COVID thing going on.
Or
No,
have
we can all cook very good food, too.
Okay, so we learned a few things along the way.
Or have we?
We have. So again, community, if you have a paranormal problem, reach out to us. normally how we do things, and this is again for Stephanie's benefit too, is people contact us. Many times it's through Facebook. That seems to be a great way for people to connect. Yep. And you can see about us, look about us, read about us, make sure we're legit. And then they usually send a message to us, and we kind of break the ice that way. So if it's something legit, we have a team mentality. So we don't say, like one team member said, okay, we're coming, get the Scooby van warmed up. Here we come. The Batman theme plays, and we go zipping out.
Let's go, gang.
The Agent Paranormal cave, and we're there with all our bags of stuff, Doesn't work like that. So usually what happens is we basically ask questions, kind of get an idea, want to see some evidence. Do you have any pictures or audio, anything you can share with us? And we try to go through, make them relive the experience, try to get some more details. And then as a group, we make a determination if it's something that we want to explore. We have to have their safety concerns. We want to make sure that, our members are going to be safe, that there's nothing kind of weird or going on. And we want to make sure it's going to be legit because we're going to be taking time out of our lives, go spend, significant hours with this family or person to try to help them with a problem. So once we determine something good, then we have what we call our consult, and that's usually where we send a small team in. That can be 2 people, 3 people. It depends. If it's like a great, big, huge location, like a business, sometimes we'll have more. And the whole goal is just to go in and kind of figure out what's going on. Just read them, get a layout of the place, see if it's how we would do things, see if we capture any evidence with a couple little handheld devices, things of that nature. And then once we do that, based on that, and then on the merit of that, then we go and do an investigation. And that's usually when we kind of figure out logistically what size team we should have. We do like to have a team that has a mix of the male and female, because a lot of times if we're dealing with, say, a spirit of a child, sometimes a male authoritative figure asking questions might scare a spirit of that nature, where a female may find it more welcoming. And the best example of that I can figure out is the Hulbert House. The little girl that was there, we've seen her, we've got EVPs of her, but normally when the guys ask questions, silence from this child, if you believe it is a child spirit. But there was we had an event there, and there's about 5 or 6 women up there, and they're all up in the 3rd floor doing a spirit box session with John Zaffis. And she was talking and singing and communicating with them, and they're praying and crying, trying to get this child spirit who identified herself as me to move on, which is called the deliverance, to the light. Because I walked into the room, and it screamed, and they all got real quiet, and John Zaffis turned and looked at me and goes, "Get out of the room, Richie." So I was like peeking around the door, looking in, and I'm like, I got to see this, I don't know why they trusted him, not me. Come on, look at this face.
It was the sweater.
I don't.
The sweater.
Could be. And by the way, I'm still mad at you guys for leaving me up there that one night. Hulbert House, 3rd floor. Creepy ass place to begin with.
Don't fall asleep.
We had John Zaffis in town. Bar was open. We're all drinking. What was it? The Orchard ciders, including Zaffis. Yeah. And we said, let's go sunning up in the 3rd floor. So we went. We all had I don't even know what I had. I think of the obvious. We all in that room. We're doing stuff, and I fell asleep. They left. I woke up. I don't even know what time it was. I woke up. I'm like, it's dark. I don't hear anyone, and it's creepy. And guys, and I didn't have a flashlight. I didn't bring one because I had a little too much to drink. So I had to find my way down through there, like touching the walls and so I don't know some of the things that I touched, to get out there and figure out how to unlatch that door to get back down. That was a butt clincher, pretty much getting out of there.
You guys ever do that to me? I swear.
Challenge accepted.
Don't go to an event with us where there's a bar and have some cocktails. That's all I can tell you.
So along those lines, Rich, I think with everything that's gone on, when all this schmuckus is done with,
schmuckus,
we owe it to our fans. We owe it to us. We should go get that hotel in the Adirondacks that we're going to have a big party at, and we should do like a weekend party.
Adirondacks.
I won't say
He said it.
I won't say the location, but you know where I'm talking. Let's get somebody. Let's go in. We'll drink. We'll get Sharpies and write all over Kevin when he falls asleep, and let's just have a good time.
Then we'll take a real picture of a demon. This is what a demon looks like.
We'll be nice. I'm sorry. See, I learned back in college, being the president of a fraternity, when you start drinking at night, you don't fall asleep in the fraternity house. You lock yourself in your car.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you wake up with things written on you that you don't want written on you.
Party foul.
Or worse.
The meaning of dickhead really takes on life when you have a penis drawn on your forehead.
Or right here.
And with a Sharpie. And you got to, no hat to wear. And you got to go home and, hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
Just remember, most of us grew up in
You
the non-PC era.
Nothing's sacred, even in a paranormal group.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people are more sensitive now, but in the 80s, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But in the 80s, if we didn't like each other, we would just fist fight, and then we'd hate each other, and about a week later, we'd be best friends. We worked out our differences back. That's how we did it. Now they basically they just carry on that for a long time. They just get they get mad at each other, and they just hold a grudge for a very, very long time. It's like
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking about the other night when I was pooping? That's when I come up with my best thoughts.
We sure.
I was thinking about, we all grew up with the 70s horror movies, the 80s horror movie. I mean, we grew up with all that. So it's like all this stuff's happening in real world society. It's like this, and we're just like, where's the big blob from outer space? The frig's your problem? What are you worried about?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you think that has anything to do with our mindset? Like Freddy Krueger? Oh,
Yeah, you guys manifested this.
Are you still afraid of a 30-story praying mantis, or
bring it on. That's why they're like, oh my God, what if Godzilla comes?
When I discovered horror movies, it was on HBO. And we used to get that little HBO guide. It was about that big. And you open it up, and there was Halloween, The Exorcist, all those movies. The Thing, The Fog, all that. That's the stuff that I grew up watching in the 80s. And now I watch it's kind of comical. It's fun. I love those movies. But back then, it was terrifying. Watching my friend's house is like, it's now 12:30 at night, and I got to literally walk up 6 houses down the street. I mean, it's really not that scary. It's a cul-de-sac in suburbia. But it was terrifying. Terrifying. You're walking, it's like, there's something behind that tree. I think I just saw something leave around that house.
Yeah.
Now it's like I could watch them. I could go outside and sit in my hot tub and care less. It's just, it's just such a different mindset. Those are the horror movies that I enjoy. When Halloween comes and October comes, I start watching those every night. Mm-hmm. Now it's just it's just, I don't know. Horror movies nowadays are just so gory. It's like, got to rip open the intestines and pull them out. And I'm just like, I just like the silent stalking thing with the music and, that kind of suspense. That to me was, except The Exorcist, that movie's wrong on so many levels.
See, for me, it was Poltergeist. That messed me up as a kid.
Love that movie.
Well, you've lived Poltergeist.
Well,
so.
that's true.
Like American Horror Story, I stopped watching it mostly because of the gore. I'm like, the stories are interesting. But I can't watch it anymore. It's just, I don't know if it's my old age, but as I get older, I'm like, ew, blood.
I like to just, like the movie The Fog by John Carpenter is one of my favorite movies. It's about, how they lured in the leper colony in the ship, and then they crashed, and they went in and took all their gold, and now they came back for the gold, and they were killing people, pirates and stuff. That was kind of cool. I liked the story. The music, and it was good. It was a good story, Now you watch it's kind of hokey because it was made in 1979 or something like that, but it's still good.
Yeah.
It's still good.
To me, I like the horror movies that are gory, only because I like the practical effects. I'm that type of person that always wanted to try and recreate that. And that's what I wanted to do as a career, is actually recreate practical effects of those gory images.
No kidding.
And I've done a couple of independent films where I did that kind of prop making and stuff. But when Saw came out, that was not those kind of props, Pete. Not those kind of.
Well, when I heard independent film, that's something different.
He's a criminal and a serial killer.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to do. When Saw came out, that was top of the line for me. I mean, they did great. The anatomical precision of all these things that they created. It was it literally looked like they ripped a human body apart, and that was always a huge thing for me. Yeah, I loved slasher films. I love when Jason picks up a sleeping bag and slams him against a tree a couple times. But
It's awesome.
But yeah, I was that 5-year-old that grew up watching slasher films. But yeah.
But look, I mean, just alien crap. All this. You had Independence Day. You had what's his name? Will Smith punched the thing in the face. You had Signs with Mel Gibson. He punched the alien in the face. Now we just let them destroy the earth. John Carpenter's Vampires. Best movie ever. Then you got The Lost Boys. And then now today we have Edward Cullen.
No.
A brooding vampire or True Blood.
There is a good modern one. Have you guys ever seen What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes.
Amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's I still quote it. I love it.
It's The Office with vampires, is basically.
Basically. All right, do your homework. Watch that movie. Next show.
30 Days at Night. Did you see that? That was pretty.
Yep.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
That whole process. But again, we talked earlier about tangents, and we definitely get involved in tangents.
So how about we go back to the first tangent we were supposed to be on, and let's ask Stephanie a couple of questions since we didn't actually ask her one. So.
Okay. Adirondacks. Just that's just like a tongue exercise. Adirondacks. Exactly. Just watch Anchorman. What was the one he used in Anchorman?
Oh, God.
He used to do those little exercises.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain.
80% of the time, it works 30% of the time.
So Stephanie,
Yes.
what are we talking about?
Have you or anyone you've known ever been haunted?
Yes.
If you
I
don't
can
mind
tell
to say
you
so.
like a paranormal experience
Yeah.
I've had. All right.
Sure.
This one's interesting because it was my mom, dad, my sister, and then my cousins and my aunt, my uncle. And we were all visiting them in Florida.
Did you live out anybody? I mean, like
no.
godparents and
So it was just So it was Christmas. We went to Florida to visit them. And as you know, Florida is warm, and that's going to be important for later on in the story. So they do this cute little thing for Christmas where they make a birthday cake on Christmas Eve, and they sing Happy Birthday to Jesus. I mean, I'm not into it, but it was cute. We're sitting around the table, and the candles are lit, and they're like, all right, the kids are going to blow them out at the same time. As soon as we're done with the song, a mysterious ice-cold wind went through and blew out those candles. And it was pretty strong, too, and we all just... We never really talked about it again afterwards. It's like this experience we all had, and we were like, all right. Let's just leave that.
okay.
Yeah. So
Sure, it was an air conditioner.
No, it was not. I promise you. No windows were open. There was no it felt like a door opened and like it was snowing out. Like it was cold. Like very like this gust of wind, and then it was gone.
That's paranormal because if you really study the definition of paranormal, it means something not normal. People are like, that's not paranormal. There's no ghosts involved. Paranormal doesn't mean ghost. Paranormal means something that's not
normal. Yeah.
Beyond something that is normal, unexplainable, right? Mm-hmm. That falls into that category. So all of that does. So a lot of times people approach us to investigate their properties, their homes, their buildings, their properties, whatever, and they always say, I think it's haunted, or I think there's a paranormal experience going on. And the first thing people say is, I think it's haunted. Mm-hmm. The one thing we don't use is the stigmatism of being haunted, okay? To say a house is haunted, the first thing you think of is like Amityville, where no matter who moves in there, people die and they hit blood-curdling screams and there's a gate to hell, So that house is like what they consider to be haunted, right? Though people now living in there have had no paranormal experiences whatsoever. So we stay away from this stigmatism because we don't know if there's a paranormal experience, if the house is haunted, truly haunted, or there's someone in the house that's got a paranormal something attached to them or an object or something. Because Pete and I did an investigation at a place that was a haunted house, according to the homeowners. We removed an object and the haunting went away. So truly the house was just a house. It's made of wood, plaster, wiring, appliances, carpeting. But they brought something into the house. Well, actually, they dug it out of the wall and then introduced it and thought it would be a cute little thing to put on a nightstand. So the objects that they pull out were always there. But
right.
Nothing happened until they took them out of the walls. Disturbed it, exactly.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the paranormal is related to something in the house or someone in the house versus like the house itself. I mean, there are many instances when, somebody may have lived there, somebody may have died, and they clean that property, and they don't want anybody that's there, and now they're moving around, basically making a mess, breaking down walls, this and that. Then it kind of flares that up. So sometimes when that happens, we tell the people who live there, they're like, well, can't you get rid of it? It's like some magic potion. We come in and go away, you know, with some,
The power of Christ
holy
compels
water.
you.
Exactly. And sometimes no. Or there's some other paranormal groups, I get a kick out of this, that going, we're going to go sage a house. Do you know how to sage a house? Well, I watched a YouTube video on it.
Oh, God.
Please, for the love of God, don't go into that home and sage that property. You don't know what you're doing, and you are going to make things worse. And there's a paranormal group that we all talk about. We've seen the Facebook posts about going in and saging the house, and I'm like, oh, good Lord. We're going to get that call next.
Right. But you're right. That was an isolated incident that happened. It was,
I had the house saged, and it's still going on. That's because what they did wasn't the proper way, the proper method to do it. So most of the time, when you have a paranormal problem like that, once you identify what it is, then you basically have the people who live there take command of the property and then try to get it to leave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You basically can't control me anymore. You can't control this property anymore. You can stay here, but you must basically live with us in peace. I mean, things along that nature, really depending on what's going on. So, you know, again, how can you charge people money for doing this kind of thing? You know what I'm saying? You're just pushing them in the right direction. It's not like we're in there doing their taxes, you know? By the way, since we're here, you got QuickBooks on there? I think I can just print it out and I'll take it with me. I'll transfer my iPad. I'll get your taxes done for you. Do you need any legal work done? Because we also do that. So, yeah. So how can you charge people for that? Though we've been into places where people have actually paid to have shamans and like you know the case I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Multiple people were in there doing things, and they paid a lot of money out to have all this stuff done.
That was a really difficult case, actually, for us and other groups that had been in there after us.
But there was a group in there that did charge, too.
Yeah. They had a paranormal group that charged. They brought in a shaman. They brought in like 2 or 3 psychics, and all of them charged. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars that this family paid towards it. And when we went in there, we pretty much saw it right off the bat that it was survivor's guilt. The father had, like, I think it was stage 4 renal cancer, and just kind of suffered all the way to the end and ended up passing away, and they just couldn't go on. I mean, they were all older. The daughter that lived there was in her 40s, and then the mother was like 70s or 80s, and they all just believed that there was something in the house, but we couldn't get anything. But the only thing we did catch, and this was the first time I have ever experienced it. I don't know if it was the first time you've experienced it, Pete, but we actually saw her manipulate EMF levels. So when we allowed her to talk about her father and when he was passing away, we watched those EMF levels rise up into the hundreds. And then as soon as we changed the subject, came right back down.
That's
and
crazy.
it was every time. We did it about three different times.
For those of you who want the technical science term, it's reoccurring spontaneous psychokinesis. Nandor Fodor did a very, very interesting study on it. Nandor Fodor. You can't make that up, yes. Can you, like, throw me on just for a second? Look at the eye that's not lazy. They have you on multiple cameras. Multiple cameras. Stop breaking into where you're breaking into.
Very well.
We may or may not have ID'd you for them. Anyway.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about, the COVID and quarantine and the paranormal. There is an article that CBS Los Angeles had posted on there that reports of paranormal activity are on the rise during the coronavirus stay-at-home orders. People are home more, paying attention to what's going on more, and they're reporting more paranormal type activity. So that's interesting.
I believe that. Actually,
there
around
could
my
be
house, I feel like it is too.
It could
Like
be
my house
resurgence.
is, yeah.
There could be multiple reasons for that. So let's try and talk about the regular logical reasons why. your home more. You could have a lot more appliances on, especially during heat waves. You got more EMF in the house. You could actually have appliances running that could potentially create carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide poisoning actually can create some kind of hallucinations. You're cooped up in a house and you want to get out, so you're imagining things. So,
Well, and you could have squirrels.
squirrels.
that you never knew they were in there. And the other thing is, and this is not even joking, a lot of people are suffering from anxiety,
Oh yeah.
stuff like that. So they're taking meds. And, there's no set way that a human being is going to respond to a certain medication. So that could also cause a lot of stress, and people start manifesting the paranormal stuff. So,
But could it be paranormal? Very much so. I mean, there's a lot of places that have ghosts that just aren't so active that people really notice. They'll see things here and there, but it's nothing huge. So now they're in the house more. They're noticing a little bit more. So yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I think I agree with that, because I think because we're not going as much as we're used to, work, and we're like forced to kind of sit and pay attention more. So maybe all this paranormal stuff has always been there, like the amount of
Yep.
but we're just finally like soaking it in.
I would completely agree with that. I mean, it certainly is. You know what I mean? And so it's, and let's while we're talking about that, I want to retract back to an episode we did when we had Deanna Simpson was on, did the show with the Hanover haunting. Pete knows where I'm going with this. He's already blessing himself for protection. So
This could be a good story to tell. We did have a question saying, does anyone have a paranormal story that truly scared them? So I think this is a good segue into that.
yeah, let's talk about that right now. Let's share that. So I'm going to give you my quick story, and then Pete's going to tell his a little bit more terrifying. So anyways, we had Deanna Simpson on, and she is the victim of the Hanover haunting. There's a book on it. It's been on numerous TV shows and all that kind of stuff. She is, by far, the sweetest woman you could ever meet. And I'm telling you, the one thing I've noticed about her, and it's just weird maybe, is that every time I've looked at her over the years, I used to work with her. I represented her. She never looks like she ages. Ever. Every time I look at her, if you go on Facebook, she still looks the same. So, anyways, we had her on the show. It was a phenomenal episode. We interviewed. She told the whole story. It was terrifying, all the stuff they went through. So, during the episode, I'm up in my office, which is, my office is, I have a big 2-story garage attached to my house with a mudroom in between, and I'm up on the second level. So I'm pretty much by myself. The door to the house is closed, so I'm detached. So I'm up there doing a thing, and I keep feeling like someone's behind me. So if you watch the episode, you can see me. I go like this a lot. I'm like, I had it like the hair was standing up on my arms, and there's like that my spidey senses going up and down my spine. And I just felt like there was something behind me. And I could see, obviously, in the screen, the wall behind me, because we were doing like a Zoom thing. And I was terrified. And then I'm sitting there, and then when I'm talking, I'm looking at him like my eyeballs are black. And you can also see me like going up to the thing like this a few times, like trying to think, why are my eyeballs black? I've done so many Zoom calls up there for business, just to chat with friends, and for the show. And I've never seen my eyes go black like that. So I actually text him after. I go, I don't know what the hell is going on, but these things happen to me. So then Pete shares his story with me, and his goes a little bit, well, of course it's Pete, so he usually gets the brunt of everything. So why don't you share with us, Peter, your experience with that particular show?
So is the Reverend Peter explaining this from the metaphysical aspect. Your energy is magnetic, so you can attract things. That's why you say, why does certain things happen to some people and not others? Basically, I mean, like they always say, what you put out is what you receive back. So if they see you have something they want, they attach to you. through that entire show, I didn't feel well. And then I had another one of my friends, Vinny, kept texting me. He's like, "You all right? You don't look good on the thing." And I'm like, It's like, I can't walk away
me
now.
at the 4 sandwiches? Was that the episode?
No, no. It was just me and you. And I'm glad that you and Chris weren't there with the kids.
Yeah.
Because whatever was attached to her came and paid me and Rich a visit. So that night, I woke up, and there was a very strong older gentleman's cologne in the bedroom. It's nothing I owned. It's nothing I ever smelled in the house. It was none of the sensies that the miss had. And then I could see the little black figure, and I'm like, son of a biscuit. Whatever, because that was one of the things she kept describing to us was the older gentleman that would be in her bedroom. And I'm like, that son of a gun came here to look around. And for a few days, I felt something in the house. Something wasn't right. And as soon as I would recognize that smell, it would go away. You wouldn't smell it all day. And then as soon as the night came back, there was that smell. And I'm like, And that's why I reached out to you and Todd. I'm like, did you guys get a visit or anything weird happen after that show? Because, So you and Chris had something protecting you that you couldn't be on the show.
Yeah, it was actually that morning. I hadn't been able to actually look into, her history, do a little bit of research before the show. As we all do, we try to learn on whoever our guest is, try and get as much information we can for questioning. And I just started doing the research, and I just told Maeve, I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this one tonight. I just don't feel it. I don't want to do it. And there's just something that's irking me that I just can't do it. So I ended up just texting you guys. I didn't really get into it. All I said was I had other plans.
So me and Rich is the genius pigs. Then we find out afterwards, it's like, oh, yeah, John Zaffis told us whatever that is ancient, and he doesn't want anything to do with it. It's like, that's the first thing you tell us. When the demonologist doesn't want to be around it, that's what you tell me first.
I mean, I'm definitely one of the guys in the group that always says, I've never really had a big belief in the demonic. I've also never really have dealt with anything like that. Anything that I felt was dark, I never really felt it was demonic. I just thought the thing was an ass. So I just dealt with it as, you're an ass spirit, and I'm going to just treat you like an asshole. So
that could be, I mean, that really could be what it is. It could just be something negative.
Yeah.
Could be something demonic. It's tough to tell, but
when he texted you that day and said, did you get a visit? I had woken up at about 3 o'clock that morning. I didn't see anything in my room, but I could feel something standing at my door just staring at me.
3 to 2 is the witching hour.
Yeah, well, I usually wake up in the middle of the night a couple times, but just that night was just, I woke up and I felt like somebody was standing in the room staring at me. So as soon as you said that, I actually texted Maeve, and I'm like, did you wake up at all or what? Because I felt that. I mean, I did pop into the show about, I think it was like 15 minutes in or something, and I started watching the show. But,
very sweet lady, very nice.
Yeah.
And we're like, ooh, next time we're in Gettysburg, maybe we go investigate her house. I ain't going near that, even with the with the Pope. I'm just
you
no.
could bring John Zaffis and the Pope, and I still won't get 2 blocks near that place.
That is scary, though.
No.
Oof.
When you say her name, no.
So
Return
thank
to where
you
you
for
came
being a
from.
guest.
that was not the scariest thing, but that was kind of weird because I think we're just talking about something on a Zoom call, and weird vibes are headed towards us.
That kind of is what the scary thing is, though. This is a time of social distancing when we're doing everything over the cameras, over the internet, and we're like, yeah, we're fine now. It's like, oh, great, we're getting visitations via the computer now.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible. You'd think you'd be safe being like, she's over there. It's fine.
There's a lot of energy in these wires.
So can I go tinfoil on you guys before we wrap up?
Does that
Wanna
work?
go tinfoil?
Need a little Hershey Kiss top.
So a lot of metaphysicians with this time period's being called the Great Awakening. So a lot of people have chosen this incarnation to be on Earth to watch the handful of people basically blossom and do what it is they're supposed to do. So they're here to watch. It's sort of like they're at a concert. They just want to be on Earth as whatever's supposed to come, so they could say, oh, I was at Woodstock. This is a metaphysical belief. There is a lot of energy right now, most of it negative, throughout society. I believe that's manifesting paranormal to a level of great proportions, because you're talking about paranormal activities on the rise. Again, what you put out is what comes back. Everybody's negative. There's a lot of negativity. They're drawing on that. So for your homework, you want to look into something called the Book of Urantia. We might also be approaching the time of Nasara and Gasara. This is the alien blossoming of Earth, where they're going to come down and bring the peaceful package, basically. And as far-fetched as this stuff is, you start reading what it is they're supposed to be doing. Every day, every week that goes by, things are getting checked off these lists. And what, to me, which makes it even scarier, the CIA declassified all the UFO stuff. The Army pretty much said, oh, we have alien vehicles. We've been using their technology for... There's a lot of disclosure. Was the pandemic to hide the start of Nasara and Gasara? The alien awakening of... And you know, when we worked with Dr. Kaku in and we got to see his lecture during Project Fibonacci, that was his big push in the future. Does the Earth, a zero-class planet, make it to the first class, where other alien species start coming back and say, okay, we're going to help you to the next level, and then 2 and 3, or are we just going to crap out and never even make it to 1? I see a lot of I mean, like I say, I'll give it to you as the tinfoil conspiracy stuff, but I've been watching a lot of things in the news, and it's just like everybody's focused here with negativity, but these little things are happening, lining up.
And there has, and one thing that I really learned from the paranormal is the theory of energy. That energy pretty much is an emotion. Everyone has energy. That's how we function. The soul is like an energy source, a sun, if you will, a small sun. And then essentially that emotions, negative and positive, create energy. And you talk about how to track things. Like, people talk about religion, like, for instance, like take a look at people who go down the demonic path that want to, worship the devil and do all that kind of stuff. It's so intensely negative. These people become so dissolved in it, and they focus on it, and everything in their life becomes negative. They become negative, hateful, spiteful. That's what that energy thrives on. Then you come across people who are just like very, very, into religion, and they're so positive, and their energy is so, you can feel it when they're with you, They're talking, they're smiling, and things just sort of happen for them. You know what I mean? And you really start to think, you scratch your head and think, positive really does draw in the positive, and the negative really does draw in the negative. And can they affect each other? I've been zapped pretty good at a location that basically, quote unquote, had exorcisms done and had demonic forces there. I asked the wrong question, which could be considered challenging by some, confrontational by others, and I got zapped. And all I had to do was just knock your energy off just slightly, you know what I mean? And then your whole body gets out of alignment, and you become sick. It's like getting the flu, but you don't have the symptoms. You don't have the respiratory problems. You don't have, the cough. You just have you just feel it like you have it, but you don't. Mm-hmm. And then when somehow you ground yourself or do whatever, you instantly become back to normal. It's just the weirdest thing. So energy really is. If I go in a location, you can feel the negative energy. Whoa, something's going on here. I'm not really sure this is something that's on our pay grade. You know what I mean? There's something, and you can feel it sometimes from people, the people that we go in to investigate. You can sit there and listen, feel it to them. And I know I was walking through a mall in California one time, quick story, with Chris Moon and his mother. We were walking through one of those big malls, like you see on the Tom Petty video there. That was a Free Falling or something, and they're going up the big escalators, those big California malls, right? And we're walking by, and here this guy comes walking by, and all of a sudden Chris says, whoa. And I'm like, what? He goes, that dude is seriously negative. There's something's going on with him. He's about to do something. He goes, I just picked it up. He goes, he walked right by, and he just looks by himself, just walking and going like, looking like this and stuff. And I thought to myself, wow, you can pick up on it? He goes, wow, how can you not? I mean, we walked right by him. And then a lot of the people I know in the metaphysical focus a lot on the positive. I mean, if you look at their, like Chris Moon's Facebook page, for instance, he's always got like very uplifting, positive messages moving people forward. And I really think that, and since he's been like that, because Chris at one time was dealing a lot in the paranormal, where he was doing a lot of spirit box work, and a lot of the projects that he was involved in were demonic. So he was having some issues.
Yeah.
They were going after him and stuff. And he was having all these reoccurring issues and problems. And then he had kind of shed that aside and started focus on really positive things, and everything's like clicking for the guy. You know what I'm saying? He's sharing uplifting messages. His businesses are going well, all kinds of different things. So I really like to tell people, if you really focus on the positive stuff, I mean, you really, like the law of attraction, you will attract that energy to you. I mean, is that kind of, you know, a long story, but is it kind of like pretty much what you're talking about, the energy? Because of negativity right now that's going on with all the negative emotion and the violence and, you know, everyone protesting and stuff.
Right.
It's like almost like it's like a beacon, you know what I mean, for something to pick that up, I guess. The aliens, maybe, I don't know. I mean,
I feel
just
like
saying.
too, like having these conversations, like it's what's going to help people. Like we have to lift each other's vibrations up. We need to just like have positive messaging out there and like just have the communities. Because I listened to a psychic once, and she basically talked about how our purpose on Earth was to lift. Something's going on outside. Okay. Basically, the purpose of life was all of us to, you know, have our vibrations like higher. And I really think that's what's happening now. It's like this big surge of vibration just going up. And like, yeah, like you said, everything bad is happening, but a lot of good things are happening too. And I know this sounds, TikTok has actually become quite interesting, because I finally joined TikTok, and there's just this strong community of just like inspirational words, or like just having that conversation about like what you're feeling is real, because you do kind of feel insane a little bit. You're like, I'm in a bad mood. Well, you're not just simply in a bad mood. You're either feeling someone else's feeling, or, you know, it's something a little more than that. And you don't feel as crazy anymore when you hear everyone else talking about it. Don't get me wrong. There's some crazies on TikTok just trying to get views, but they're easy to like sift through.
I'm not on TikTok, but I'm sure Kevin is. He's probably, his
Are you
name
on TikTok,
is,
Kevin?
I am not on TikTok.
Paranormal criminal.
I mean, whatever that outlet is, I think it's important that we have these conversations, like what we're doing here, having these conversations about vibrations, and just because I feel like a lot of, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but like paranormal investigations, it is about your intuition, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Part of it. I think the intuition you get as you develop as a paranormal investigator.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm sure there are people that just from the day one of doing it, they just boom, it clicks. But most of us, we got to like go out there and trip and fall and learn. But I've seen some very beautiful, positive moments in the paranormal. I did an investigation at the shops, the Finish Line, where there was a brother and sister. They were older, and the brother lost his wife, I think, like the year before or something. They got into paranormal. They were interested in it. But I think really he was looking to find answers. You know, he lost his wife. He's probably kind of spinning a little bit, wanted to know, you know, where is she? You know, I loved her. I've been with her. You know, and we had a spirit box session in the basement, and a voice came through, and he said, "That's my wife."
Really?
And I said, we asked her, "What is your name?" She told us her first name. That's his wife's first name. And I said, let me ask the questions. I want to be certain. Then we asked, "What is your last name?" And it came through and said his last name.
No way.
And he said, "I love you." And this brother and sister were holding each other. "God, we love you." And it came back and said, "I love you too." After that, I mean, this guy was buying Ovulus's, all this equipment. He was like into it. After that, never saw him again. Maybe that is the answer he was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
That validated him, the paranormal. And then I've done some investigations, we all have in this room, where people are just very negative. And it's just, you can feel it. You can feel it. We can know that when we go into a house. You know, you can't hide much from us. We walk in, we're like kind of, that glass shouldn't be there. I mean, we really look around through our environment, you know, and yeah, we can tell. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Like the case that Kevin went into detail about, the woman that was projecting a lot of this energy. She was just so angry and so mad and was so negative. She was making negative things happen. And she was like, and the family was disrupted. And all this was going on. That was probably one of the most powerful negative things I think I've seen. She was so angry because she lost, her father.
Yeah, that takes a toll on us too. I don't think I took a personal case for home residence investigations for 2 years after that, because that affected me that much. That because I was the one that went in and told them, we've got nothing, and basically the only thing that we can say is I think you need to talk to somebody, and they just didn't like that.
Wow.
So, after that one, I basically shut down for personal investigations. I focus mainly on our charitable stuff.
Yeah, the personal ones are very taxing for some people. Mm-hmm. Being taxing for me many times, and I thought to myself, I don't want to do this again. But I knew people needed help. I mean, Pete, my God, he's been doing it longer than pretty much all of us.
Well, I did carry the Ark of the Covenant, so I mean, I'm special. I learned that after $110 past life regression.
Past life regression. I love
I
that.
I guess I don't regret it. I carried the Ark.
Look at me on Peter. He puts it on his shoulders. And
Autographs
there's
are available
monkeys
in
in
the
there,
gift
and
shop.
lions and everything. So yeah, it can be very taxing. And sometimes when they get mad at us. People do get mad at us. We don't give them the answers that they want. Sometimes we have to go back multiple times to try to find one thing. It's like before we show up, everything's levitating. Satan's sitting there with a deck of cards. Let's play Cards Against Humanity. And we walk in and like there's birds singing and everything's fine. Tablecloths are perfectly folded. Everything. Yeah. So that's not uncommon for us. But if we really think something's going on, we'll go back multiple times to try to find a solution. Like if you the Carmen Reed case we talked out. She's one of our guests. The Warrens investigated her thing along with John Zaffis. They were there like numerous times, back and forth, like months. They were staying the night there and stuff. Could you imagine that? Like, I could imagine just calling my wife. I'm gonna stay the night here and in Homer. Some stuff going on. I'm not really sure she would like that, take kindly to that. So, and that's the dedication that those people had, But then again, you're talking about a case that's, it's unsurpassed. Demonic forces.
But I guess if we saw that happening, we would stay. I wouldn't go home if something profound like that's happening. I'd be like, I want to see this one out just for the hell of it.
He would have the popcorn.
Sorry, Candy.
He's in there. Aren't you going to do something? Hold on a second. I want to see what he does.
Hold on. I got to go pee. I'll be right back.
Where's that sub?
Wait.
6-foot sub.
Keep levitating or just wait a minute.
But one thing that we've learned from investigating is that when you show up to a place and they put out a spread of food and there's cheese involved on the subs, make sure you eat those first. Because if you investigate for 4 hours later and that cheese has been sitting out there room temperature, there's like a weird, like wet stuff on it. It's dry and other spots, and you don't want to eat that because we want in some of the yummiest food, but we're on a mission here. Yeah. Let's get this done. Then we're like, I'm kind of hungry now. And we go out there, it's like, oh, is that turkey supposed to be that color? It's, yeah. They could have put it in the refrigerator and held it for us or something, but yeah, so. True story.
So can I use you guys for a 5-minute guinea pig thing? Are you up to the challenge for a metaphysical little experimentation?
Do you have a wheel we can run in? Or?
Yeah. Do you guys want to do this? You want to try it?
Like a Big Bang Theory, asks a question, throws treats?
I figure we'll just make it weird out there for everyone.
I don't have Todd yelling at me yet, so
okay.
End it.
So I'll keep it quick. I just looked at your cornhole. Ayo. All right. So can you describe to me what life is? What do you consider life?
The day I was born, and in its different stages. Right now I'm living the organic life here on this realm, this dimension, and then my consciousness will rise and I'll go off into the next. That's how I view it.
Okay, pretty much the same?
Yeah, I'm not finished on that, yeah.
So, from the metaphysical great awakening standpoint, none of us ever had a chance out there. Do you understand that? You never had a chance.
No, I feel that.
Because that's what you were taught when you were born. You're born, You go to school. Maybe you go to a little more school. You get a job. You get married. You have kids. You retire. You die. That's what your parents put into you. That's what their parents put into them. That's the cycle that's been going on for hundreds, thousands of years. Whatever you want to call it, the caste society, or this is why you never had a chance. You were conditioned for that.
Yeah.
This is why we're in the Great Awakening. When you were born, before you were born, a few things happened. You chose your parents because you chose a mission. As soon as you were born, a veil of forgetfulness, what they call, was placed over your energy. You don't know what you've learned. I'll guarantee you've all incarnated, including myself, many times on Earth. Earth is considered like the Harvard University of incarnations. It's the hardest problems that continue to change and morph, and that's why you keep coming back. That's why when I mentioned earlier, yes, Kevin?
I'm going to start telling people that I went to Harvard.
Yes. That's why when you look at that, it's like, so why are people awakening? They're starting to realize, maybe I'm not supposed to be this. Maybe I'm not supposed to do that. I don't want to work here. How many people do you know? They don't like their job. They don't like their life. So it just took a small trigger event, keeping you incarcerated in your home for months, for a lot of people to start thinking, because all you've had now is time, like, I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like what's going on. I don't like this or that. People are starting to think. So you're going to see a massive shift over the next few years of people changing their vibration. One of the things that they talk about, if you don't like something, change it. You may not know what your mission is, but if you feel there's like a little voice talking to you, now let me backtrack on this. When I say little voice talking to you, if it's telling you to hurt you or someone else, don't listen to that voice. Call somebody else. That's not the voice you're listening to.
Killer!
But
Did Jeffrey Dahmer subscribe to this? Because he picked his parents and...
Pretty much, you have to wonder
it's
why.
crazy, but yeah, I believe that too.
He picked his dinner.
Oh my god.
It was finger licking good. No. So that voice is telling you, hey, maybe you should start a business. Well, I don't want to start a business. Maybe you have to start listening to what the universe is coaching you into doing. The universe is trying to lay that path out for you that is the path you chose that you don't know about. That's what you need to learn. People confuse this, what's this term? Karma. Karma is a very bad thing. Whether you perceive karma as good or bad, it's bad. Karma is a cycle that takes your energy from the path you're supposed to be on. Don't ever enter your energy into a cycle of karma. That's all induced, like we're saying, magnetic. Oh, so I did something bad, so I need to be punished. You're expecting a punishment because that's what you were taught. Ooh, if I do something bad, ooh, if I do something good, I get a reward. Get out of that cycle. Start listening. And like I've told you, over the past few years, since I've been in the metaphysical stuff, studying that, I see physical doors opening and closing. It's like, okay, this person's put in your life. You learn a quick mission, slam, they're gone. This happens. This door opens. That door closes. And it's like, but you're starting to learn now what it is you're supposed to be learning. Exactly. So that was just a quick game. And like they tell you, if you feel uncomfortable, like Rich has a project he wants to work on, if it makes you feel very uncomfortable, that's probably the project you should be working on. You should never be comfortable. That's the going story. You should never be comforted, because then you become stagnant and it takes you away from the path. The path is always going to be hard, trying right up to the end. And then whatever happens, I don't know.
I know you and I have
That's
talked
it.
about it.
Whatever happens, I don't know. That's it. Cliffhanger.
The end.
You and I have
So
talked about
hopefully
this
I'm
before.
gorgeous. Hopefully I look like Thor when I crap out and I finally see what my real avatar is. I got like a ponytail and like muscles.
You and I have talked about this before.
Yes, sir.
That I'm a huge believer in deja vu. Now, you've talked about the scientific, and if you want to bring that up right now.
You got to worry about Vuja Day.
Yeah. So, basically, I used to experience deja vu a lot as a kid, and as I got older, it was more, prevalent, and it was more along the lines of I'd have dreams about it, and then I'd experience the deja vu where I'd see it in my living life, or waking life, not living life, my death life, and basically the way I've been looking at it is how you're talking about this path. Is every time I experience this deja vu, is I'm looking at it now of, okay, something's aligning and it's letting me know right at that moment that I'm still on that right path. This is the path that I'm supposed to be on, and it's letting me know that everything's coming into alignment right now.
That's interesting perspective.
I mean, the biggest thing is, like, it usually happens when I do career shifts. Within the last year, I changed from one business to another. And actually, there was, I think, 3 or 4 times in this past year. The latest one was last week, where it was about 5 minutes long of deja vu. So it's like everything come into alignment of, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And along with that, like the paranormal. I mean, how many times have any of us, we've been all in the paranormal for a long time. Myself, 20 years, Pete, more than 20 years, Rich, close to it.
Thanks.
Whatever.
Getting closer.
But anyways, how many times have we kind of said, okay, I want to back off, I don't want to do this? I've done it at least 5, 6, 7 times where I've said, I just don't want to do it anymore, I'm not into it, and something just dragged me back in. Like, I need to be here. There's something with the paranormal that it just wants me to come back.
You have to. This is also going to be part of the Great Awakening. I'm going to piss a lot of people off what I'm just about to say, but understand religion is the politics of spirituality. Religion is the politics of spirituality. If you take each individual quote-unquote religion, you'll notice the message is pretty much the same straight across, except you're taught to hate this group, that group, this group, and it's taking you away from the message. Spirituality. What does that mean? That goes back to, in my business, we call it the universe. This is one small universe. And if you read the book of Urantia, Jesus and God are the God of this universe. They're basically the mafia fathers. The next universe over has a different God, and so on. Different administration throughout all known and unknown universe. But at the core of that, going back to your science, there is something that has to sit above all of that. Everything is operating in a closed circuit. Not one thing can be out of place, because if it does, none of it works.
It makes a lot of sense.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's what your true God is. Being Catholic, all that, it's taken me a long time to get away from the old guy with the beard and the white cloud car driving around in Cloud City. Like, that's heaven.
Yeah.
You have to start looking, and there's something a lot broader. And I know you guys are a little bit nerdo, so if you go back to Star Trek, the original series, did you ever see the episode where Spock and Kirk were talking to the originators of the universe? It ended up being a computer. It was like 3 computers. Those were the origin of the universe. That's where all knowledge came from. I've told these guys for years, everything you need to know about the universe and aliens came from Star Trek and Doctor Who. I believe they've been telling society for years.
And the Matrix. Matrix had a very interesting...
There's a new one coming out.
That's another subject, the glitching.
Absolutely.
But see, what sits at the top of that is the supreme energy that keeps a closed circuit. As soon as something goes wrong, it destroys it and creates a new.
It's funny. I feel like a lot of people are if they want to say God, if you say universe, it's like they're hung up almost on that. Like, it's just a different name. It's the same idea. We're all believing in the same higher power for the most part. It's like, don't get hung up on what it's called. Like, I feel like God is almost limiting. It's giving it like a male humanistic form. It's like universe is like anything. It's this grand energy that's there for you. Like, I almost think it's more magical.
We've becoming more intelligent as we developed as society, and we're starting to look at things in a broader spectrum compared to our ancestors who thought dragons were there and fire, and now basically we've gone to, to a different scale. However, religion still holds value, as it allows people to go in to pay respect to that universal energy of good and positive, and basically give thanks to that, and pray as they want to go on and be, everlasting life. And the problem when we see in the paranormal is that, a lot of times people remained here in this realm, because they face that they'll be judged. If they move on or try to move on, someone is going to judge them, and then maybe they'll go to hell, or, so they remain here in this realm, and like a ghost, a haunting, or spirit. Usually ghosts are usually what we call things that they kind of happen in time. It's like, oh, I saw a ghost. Like you see the soldiers march down a battlefield. No intelligence to it. It's a ghost, right? It's a ghostly image that just walks. It's residual is another term for it. The spirits are the intelligent ones that we basically try to communicate with, because you can't communicate with a residual spirit. It's just like you can capture it on camera, hopefully, but it's just something that's just for some reason trapped there, and it just, but the intelligent ones are the ones that don't want to be judged, so they stay here.
Makes sense.
And we saw some of that when we did the deliverance of the child at the Hubbard house, when she went to the light and she said, "I see the light, bye-bye." And we've been back there numerous times, and we have not been able to make contact with that girl. Almost a sense of peace there now.
Yeah.
You go in, it used to be like, oh, you feel that energy? You could feel it all over the place. It's like she's kind of following you around whenever. Then we've been back there, and Kevin said, I thought this place was supposed to be haunted.
Yeah, the only thing
it was just like so peaceful.
A door slamming.
Yeah, well, that was crazy.
I think the coolest residual I had was with you. Did you get out of the car in Gettysburg? In the downpouring rain? With me when we were trying to...
Oh, yeah, the music.
We just kept it, and the closer you would get to it, and this was on the battlefield in an absolute torrential downpour. They're like, why is Pete walking in the middle of a field? And I'm like, I hear people talking 3 feet away from me.
This is like a part of the battlefield that people forgot about. It's like outside of the main part of town. You got to try to follow the highway around. And the closest thing to you is there's like a farmhouse that's maybe a quarter to a half mile away. So we hear this. We're chasing the music down to the tree line. It's pouring out. Absolutely pouring. We're drenched. We get back in the car. We zoom around the corner, fly down the road to get down to the farm. We stop, get out of the car at the farm. Dead quiet. No idea. That was insane.
So that was a cool one with you.
Yeah.
And I noticed the handsome Dr. Steve Roscoe shared our broadcast tonight. When me, Rich, and Steve, you're coming on the show. We're going to drag you here. You're coming on the show.
Gotta get him here.
When the three of us would go in the Hulbert house, I swear to God, we literally opened up the universe. Like Rich would start, he'd be like, oh my God, look, I got the bumps going on, and I'm over here. I'm like, I feel something coming up my spine. Steve's like, oh yeah, it's the little girl standing next to you. It's like,
speaking of the Hulbert house, that was another deja vu moment for me. That night that we went there, and that one was a real freaky one for me because I'd actually had a dream a few months prior to that, and the dream was I was in this basement. I went down this rickety staircase, turned around, went through a doorway, and then just inside the door on the right-hand side, there was like a hole in the wall. And it was a long kind of basement corridor. And at that point in time, I heard, like, it was, I know I said I didn't believe in demonic, but, I mean, this was a demonic-type voice that was inside my head talking to me. And it creeped me out for a long time.
Yeah.
We went to the Hulbert house. We were investigating upstairs, and I'm like, let's go down to the basement underneath where the portal is. Okay. So we open the basement door, and I look, and it's this rickety staircase from my dream. I'm like, that's crazy. So deja vu starts.
Yeah.
Starts walking down the stairs. We turn around, go through the door. Right on the right-hand side, there's a hole in the wall. And you can see all the way down in the basement. It's like,
you're kidding.
I'm done. I'm going back upstairs before they start talking.
Right. You're like, I know what
Yeah.
comes next. Next is
we
sticking around.
got to tell this. It's the best thing that ever. It was at that Rucker event. That's why we got to do another event.
Oh.
We got to do another
You
event.
want to tell a quick story?
Yes, very quick.
Okay,
very
because
quick,
we got to
very
wrap
quick,
it up
very
here.
quick.
So.
Oh.
So it was me, Rich, and Mike waiting for the guests to arrive, and a friend of mine brought his friend. They came up from Connecticut. So we gave him the room. He's checking in, and the one kid comes down to Rich, and he's like, I just had the nicest conversation with that sweet old lady upstairs, and the three of us, we all look at each other and there's no woman in the building. So who are you? And he's like, stop it. We're like, there's no woman in the building. He's like, yes, there is. I just talked to her for like a minute. She's like, what was she wearing? He described it, this and that. And she was sitting in the...
Didn't we point a picture of Eileen's grandmother on the wall? He said, that's her. Oh, she's been dead for what, how many years?
She died in 64, 19... He ran right back upstairs, grabbed all the stuff, and left. We're like, you're a paranormal investigator.
He had a
That's unreal.
conversation with her. He was talking to her.
That's
And
amazing.
she was super pleasant. She sat there in this silver gown and everything. And I'm like, Eileen, who's here? Eileen was the one that owned it. She goes, just me. Me and I think her husband was there.
Oh my God.
Just the two of us.
I would love to
Now
have
you're
a full
messing with us.
conversation.
Who's Eileen? Who's here? She's like, us. The building's locked. You said you wanted it locked and you didn't want anybody in here. Our bartenders will come in probably about like 7:30 or so. I go, there's an old lady upstairs. Rich, there's no old lady here. I remember sitting having a pizza and looking and watch a little girl walk between the ballroom and look in the window. I said, Eileen, your kids are here. No, they're not. The kids are back home. I go, there's a little girl. She just walked by at the door. She's standing in the window looking at us. Then her head went down. I go, there's a freaking kid here. She goes, Rich, there's no children here. And I went into that room, and you could feel the energy. And I'm like, holy crap, this place is a hot spot.
That's crazy.
Hot spot. Yeah, he left.
I thought he was going to puke. He turned like white when he stopped right in front of the picture. He's like... And he's like, stop it. We're like, no, that's the former owner,
That's true. I don't know
Eileen.
if I'd
She
believe
died.
you either. If I had that experience and I told you and you're like, oh, yeah, no, she's not here. I don't know if I'd believe you either.
Yeah, I would have ran out of there, too. So with all of that being said, we kind of went over our time limit. So.
Didn't even ask for a refund. That's how good we are.
So anyways, thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Well, that's if you're on the radio, you tuned into us. For watching our show. Yeah. I still think we're doing the radio show we used to do. So thank you for watching us tonight.
Well, hello.
And we hope you have a safe Sunday night, and we look forward to seeing you again. The next episode will become the next couple weeks. We'll have another paranormal guest, paraceleb, hopefully, and we'll talk about some more paranormal stuff. So on behalf of Kevin,
if there's anybody out there that, wants to
share your story,
promote themselves on the network, please get in touch with Disruption Network. They do a lot for us. We just spent an hour and a half of your time, and you can see all the different promotions that are on here. So again, reach out to Disruption Network. They do a lot for us, and we'll get you promoted.
Utica Coffee, Paranormal Blend.
if you have any questions on the paranormal, please reach out to us. And please like us on our Facebook page at Agent Paranormal. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you about your paranormal experiences, and possibly get you as a guest on the show. We can talk a little bit about it. And if you're dealing with a paranormal issue right now and you want some assistance, and you're possibly open about us talking about it on our show, we'd love to do that as well. So with that said, have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Sunday night. And I can't believe it's almost September and fall's almost here. So on that note, this is Rich. Have yourself a wonderful night. Say goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, Peter. Say bye.
And we're out.